Today you're going to use this video to complete the chromosomes and alleles notes. You're going to need some colored pencils to help you complete these notes, and pause the video at any point to add to this note set. When we look at pictures of families, we can see a pattern. We can see traits in common between relatives. You might have the same eyes as your cousin or the same nose as your brother. These traits in common are what makes us related to each other, and it all comes down to having similar pieces of DNA. We know from middle school that DNA is found in the nucleus of the cell. DNA is made up of two strands, each one built off of a backbone of alternating phosphates and sugar. Connecting those two backbones, like rungs of a ladder, are nucleotide bases. Those are the A's, T's, C's, and G's. And connecting those bases are hydrogen bonds. At this point, I need you to pause the video. In the picture of the DNA, color the phosphates, the sugars, the T, the C, the G, and the A. Make sure you also color the hydrogen bond and color the nucleus in the cell where the DNA is found. Welcome back. DNA has to fit inside the nucleus of the cell. To do that, DNA is packaged and wrapped up. When the DNA is not packaged, it looks like a bowl of spaghetti. This form of DNA is called chromatin. When the DNA is organized and packaged, it's called a chromosome. And those chromosomes tend to look like X shapes when we draw them. Chromosomes are always found in pairs. We can do a special test where we line up those pairs called a karyotype. In humans, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. 22 of those chromosome pairs are autosomal pairs, and one pair is a sex chromosome pair. That pair of chromosomes determines the gender of the individual. The last pair, either XX or XY, is the sex chromosome pair. In boys, that pair is always an XY. In girls, that pair is XX. Once again, I need you to pause the video. You're going to color the chromosomes in the karyotype. Make sure you color the key at the top of the page. Then you're going to circle the sex chromosomes in the karyotype on your paper. You should also have all of the blanks on this page filled in at this point. On those chromosomes, you have specific segments of DNA that code for a specific trait. Those are called genes. Each gene has many different alleles. Those are different versions of the gene. Take a minute right now to color a gene in your DNA segment on your notes, and make sure you get the definition of gene and allele down. Both are important words to know in this unit. Pick out two colors, one for gene and one for allele. Pause the video. Looking at the traits in the box, can you identify the difference between a gene and allele? Check your work. How did you do? There was 3 examples of genes and 4 examples of alleles. In reproduction, you get one chromosome or one allele from each parent. Remember that the chromosomes come in pairs. In the case of human, you get it from sperm and egg. We can have a dominant allele, shown as a capital letter, or recessive allele, a lowercase letter. Take a minute and fill out the section of sperm and egg in your notes. When we talk about traits, we can talk about genotypes and phenotypes. The genotype is the allele combination, the letters. The phenotype is the actual trait or the looks. In this case, the genotype is the big B, little b, and the phenotype is having either blue eyes or brown eyes. At this point, page 2 of your notes should be done. It's time for you to practice. Pick a color for genotype and phenotype. Identify the genotypes and phenotypes in the box below. Check your work. How did you do? It was 4 examples of phenotypes and 4 examples of genotypes. Like mentioned before, there's dominant and recessive versions of alleles. The dominant allele is always expressed or always shown. We write it as a capital letter. The recessive allele is expressed only when there's 2 recessive alleles. We write this as a lowercase letter. Go ahead and pick 2 colors, one for dominant and one for recessive. Pause the video and see if you can identify the dominant and recessive alleles in the box below. Go ahead, check your work. How'd you do? Look at these genotypes below. Determine which allele will be expressed, and go ahead and color it in. Go ahead and check your work. Remember that if the recessive alleles are alone, there's 2 little letters, then the recessive will be expressed. Other than that, the dominant will always be expressed if it exists in the genotype. All right, we have one last set of vocab words to go over. Homogeneous and heterogeneous. The prefix homo means the same. Yeah, go ahead and think about what it means to be homosexual. You like the same gender as you. Heterogeneous means different. Again, think about what a heterosexual means. You like someone of a different sex. Take a minute to color the homogeneous alleles and heterogeneous alleles on your note set. Time for you to practice. Pause the video. Pick 2 colors, identify homogeneous and heterogeneous. How'd you do? Check your work. Go ahead and identify the 2 homogeneous dominant genotypes by circling them.